How I managed to retire on $1,000 a month. Yes, I did. Do you know what they say? In America, it's said that you need $1 million to live comfortably in retirement. They claim that relying solely on Social Security is not feasible. They also believe that $1,000 a month isn't enough to support you in retirement. I'm here to tell you that they're mistaken. Yes, I did. And I'll demonstrate for you just how. This is not a work of fiction. It is not a financial magic trick or a get-rich-quick program. This is my actual life. Trust fund, baby, I'm not. I didn't have a 7-figure nest egg, and I didn't win the lottery. I did, however, have a small Social Security check, a great deal of willpower, and the conviction that a contented, respectable retirement was within my grasp. This is for you if you've ever woken up and stared at the ceiling, wondering how you're going to survive. This is for you if you've ever had the knot in your gut when the professed experts discuss the millions you should have. I am revealing all of this information. Let me tell you the low-cost state I relocated to. I'll show you my budget line by line and provide lifestyle tips and tiny wise decisions that helped me achieve this seemingly unachievable objective. Stay tuned, because what I'm going to tell you may alter your perspective on retirement, my story, and the issue. I was afraid that I would never be able to retire, just like a lot of you. I fulfilled my obligations for years. I tried to hide a little aside here and there, paid my bills, and worked hard. But life happens, don't you think? A medical expenditure that insurance didn't fully cover, an unexpected layoff in my late 50s, and the growing expense of, well, everything. My savings, which had never been much in the first place, began to resemble a molehill that grew smaller each year. Retirement seemed more like a precipice I was gradually being forced towards than a bright future. It was the same message everywhere. You need more, more, more. Online publications, financial advisors on TV, even family and friends. It was a chorus of fear all the time. If you didn't have a sizable portfolio, it seemed like you were destined to labor until you died or retire in poverty. I can still recall the day it struck me the most. I had a calculator and a stack of banknotes at my kitchen table at the age of 63. After doing the calculations and seeing at my expected Social Security statement, I was devastated. The monthly cost was estimated to be around $1,200. It came to just over $1,000 after they deducted the Medicare cost. The cost of living in the United States is $1,000. It seemed like a mean joke. That was more than my rent alone. How was it possible? It was a genuine worry. The weight in my chest felt chilly and heavy. The fear of being kicked out. Fear of not being able to buy food. Fear that I would be totally destroyed by a single unforeseen event, such as a damaged tooth or auto repair. I felt confined. I simply gave up and assumed that I would have to continue doing my part-time retail job indefinitely. For others, the idea of having my own time, reading books, gardening, and simply living a peaceful life sounded like a pipe dream. Then, though, something changed within me. Perhaps it was simply stubbornness. Perhaps it was an act of rebellion. I became enraged. I was upset about a system that instills fear in diligent people, and I made the decision that I would not become a victim. I was going to figure something out. It felt like a tremendous goal, yet it was simple. I wouldn't rely just on my Social Security to get by. I would flourish. I would create a truly joyful life, not just one that was inexpensive. That choice started a journey, a voyage of thorough investigation, ruthless self-evaluation regarding my requirements versus wants, and a radical reconsideration of what a decent existence actually included. This has nothing to do with sacrifice. It has to do with strategy. It has nothing to do with surrender. It was about figuring out more intelligent approaches. I used spreadsheets, library books, and many Google searches for months, almost a year. I essentially became an authority on the geography of American poverty. That resolve illuminated the way ahead, and I was going to find a way. First, the place. Location is the first, largest, and most crucial component of the entire problem. In Los Angeles or New York City, you just cannot live comfortably on $1,000 per month. It's not even possible in a moderately priced area. You must be prepared to relocate. This was the largest risk I've ever taken, but it was also the most liberating choice I've ever made. I didn't look aimlessly. I followed a rigorous checklist. I required a state with a low cost of living tax rules that were favorable to retirees and a comfortable pace of life. I began by searching for the states with the lowest retirement costs on Google. The names Alabama, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and Arkansas kept coming up. Living expenses in these areas are significantly lower than the national average. I then created a spreadsheet and began comparing. I started by filtering for taxes. People tend to overlook this important issue. A state may have affordable housing, but it's a trap if it has exorbitant property taxes or charges your Social Security. I soon discovered that some states are far more accommodating to fixed incomes. Mississippi, for instance, does not impose any taxes on retirement income. No 401k tax, no Social Security tax, nothing. Additionally, Alabama has some of the lowest property taxes in the nation and ignores Social Security. It was an enormous green flag. Housing comes next. It had to be minimal because this was my largest expense. State averages weren't the only thing I was considering. I was researching particular rural communities and tiny towns. The major cities were too costly, even in low-cost states. For weeks, I browsed real one-bedroom flat listings on rental websites. Real numbers, not just ambiguous articles, were what I needed. I spent weeks comparing everything from milk prices to power rates before deciding on Alabama and Mississippi. They were both quite reasonably priced. The cost of living in Mississippi is roughly 21% less than the national average. Alabama, which is almost 16% lower, is directly behind it. Ultimately, I decided on a small Alabama town. We'll just refer to it as Harmony Creek. No upscale magazine's list of the greatest locations to retire will include it, and that's precisely why it functions. There are over 15,000 individuals living in this peaceful, welcoming community. It has a community center, a few churches, a small hospital, a grocery shop, and a library. It really has everything I need. Why Alabama instead of Mississippi? To be honest, it was instinct. I could have made it work just as well in a similar town in Mississippi, but I discovered a particular flat complex that felt perfect, and I enjoyed the scenery a little bit better. Examining these southern and midwestern states that offer you both affordable housing and advantageous tax rules is crucial. My means of regaining control was to move. It was quite liberating to sell or give away most of my furnishings and to stuff all I owned into my tiny automobile. I was moving to a place where I could finally breathe after spending so much time in a metropolis where I was always drowning in debt. Was that frightening? Of all, the certainty of struggling if I stayed was far more terrible than the terror of the unknown. The foundation of my whole strategy was discovering Harmony Creek. The idea of retiring on $1,000 a month would have remained unattainable without the transfer. It demonstrated to me that the most crucial factor in a low-income retirement is where you reside. Second, the spending plan. Now for the part you've been anticipating. The real numbers, the brass tacks. It's not a guess. I actually spend this much each month. Seeing it laid out can be a little startling. It's definitely lean, but it's genuine. And it's totally sustainable, in my opinion. After deducting Medicare from my Social Security, my monthly income comes to approximately $1,250. I aim to save the extra $250 for emergencies and budget for an even $1,000. This is the breakdown. $550 for housing and utilities, It's the big one. It serves as the cornerstone and is where relocating to Alabama truly pays off. $475 for rent. That isn't a typo. That is the real rent I pay for a tidy, secure one-bedroom flat on the outskirts of town. The secret to making this work is to find rent that is less than $500. It's not simple. It is feasible in tiny communities in states like these, but I had to hunt, make a lot of calls, and wait on a waiting list for 2 months. I don't have a luxurious place. It's my quiet little haven, 650 square feet, with a living room, bedroom, bathroom, and a tiny kitchen. $45 for electricity. My flat is small, and I use it sparingly. In the summer, I set the thermostat to 78 degrees, and in the winter, to 68 degrees. When I am not using something, I disconnect it. Everything adds up. $30 for garbage, sewer, and water. This is my apartment complex's flat rate. Renter's insurance is free. This is a calculated risk, all right. I have eschewed renter's insurance in an effort to keep my housing expenses as low as possible. I made the trade-off to make the numbers work, but it's a personal decision, and I am aware that there is a risk. $550 in total. This represents 55% of my earnings. I am aware that just 30% of your income should go towards housing, but on a very low wage it is simply not feasible. The objective is to reduce this figure as much as possible, and $550 is the target for me. $175 for food. My daily routine and discipline are crucial in this situation. This amounts to almost $43 every week. $175 for groceries. I never go out to eat. No coffee shops, no restaurants, not even fast food. All meals are prepared at home. Muesli, rice, beans, lentils, potatoes, eggs, and whatever vegetables are in season make up my inexpensive, healthful diet. When chicken thighs are on sale, I'll purchase them. In the summer, I also produce peppers, tomatoes, and herbs in a small container garden on my patio. SNAP benefits. Additionally, I sought for and received assistance from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. Alabama has a streamlined application process for seniors, which results in an ABT card that significantly reduces my shopping expenses. I can purchase more protein and fresh fruit with it than I could on my own. There is no need to feel guilty about this. I've invested in this resource my entire life, and it's essential to the success of my budget. $50 for maintenance, gas, and transportation. I have a well-maintained, totally paid-off automobile that is 15 years old. I rarely drive because my town is small. That's around 20 to 30 miles a week for shopping and the library. This $50 allows me to put some money aside for oil changes and covers a tank of petrol. An emergency like a major auto repair is what my small emergency fund is for. In this area, owning a car is practically necessary, but the secret is to use it as little as possible. $100 for health care. For retirees, this is a major source of worry, so I needed a good plan. Medicare. Before I ever see the money, my Social Security check is immediately deducted to cover my Part B payment. Out-of-pocket expenses for the supplemental plan are $50. I was eligible to participate in the Medicare Savings Program, MSP. This state-run program was revolutionary and helps with out-of-pocket expenses. I still set aside $50 each month to cover any copays for prescription drugs or doctor appointments. I spend less in some months, and that money just keeps coming in. $50 for dental and vision care. Eyes and teeth are not covered by basic Medicare. I therefore set aside $50 every month in a dedicated savings envelope for this purpose. You can save money for new spectacles every few years and pay cash for a cleaning once a year. It's a plan, but it moves slowly. $125 for personal and communication. This serves as the umbrella for all other things. $30 phone. I have a low-cost prepaid plan. I can call, text, and use a small amount of data without limits. I do practically everything else on Wi-Fi at home or at the library. $45. Internet. My internet package is the simplest and slowest one they have. Checking email, reading the news, and watching a few videos is sufficient. Personal items for the home. $30. This covers everything from toothpaste and laundry detergent to toilet paper and soap. I stock up during sales and purchase store brands. Fun. For entertainment. $20. Yes, I do budget for enjoyment. This is my small amount of crazy money. I might exchange it for yarn for my knitting pastime, a new novel, or a ticket to a high school football event. Having it as a line item is crucial for my sanity, even though it's not much. It serves as a reminder that living is more important than merely surviving. One totals in total. That's it. Each and every dollar has a purpose. New clothes, lavish dinners, and holidays are out of the question. It's hardly a life of suffering, though. It's an intentional life. My instrument for empowerment is this budget. It's the structure that enables me to live a calm life free from the continual worry about debt. And it's evidence that it is possible if meticulous planning is done in the appropriate setting. 3. The lifestyle tricks. The skeleton is the budget, the everyday routines and decisions. These lifestyle hacks are the lifeblood that keeps everything running smoothly. This goes beyond simply saving money. Being an active, resourceful person instead of a passive consumer requires a complete mental change. The true magic takes place here, transforming a limited budget into a winning strategy. My kingdom is my kitchen. My most important rule is that I never purchase meals from restaurants. I save hundreds of dollars per month just because of this one modification. Meal planning is required by law. I use what's in my pantry and the grocery store flyer to plan my meals for the coming week every Sunday. This prevents me from wasting food and making impulsive purchases. 2 of the biggest expenses. Prepare once, consume 3 times. I adore cooking in large quantities. If I cook a large pot of chili or bean soup, I will freeze at least 2 portions for later use, have it for dinner, then have it for lunch the following day. My best friend is my freezer. Make friends with unsightly veggies. I enjoy visiting the farmer's market just before it closes. Because they don't want to box away all the food, sellers frequently sell unattractive but perfectly good vegetables at a steep discount. I've paid nearly nothing for packs of bruised apples and oddly shaped peppers. Never buy pantry items at full price. My pantry is small but well organized. I buy enough to last a few months when items I use frequently, like rice, pasta, canned tomatoes, or beans, are on sale. Develop your own. My container garden is a source of happiness and cost savings, even with a tiny patio. For the price of a few seeds, I can have fresh flavors all summer long from a pot of mint, a few of tomato plants, and some basil. Having fun doesn't have to break the bank. You don't have to be bored to live on a tight budget. All you need to do is be a little more imaginative. Best buddy you have is the library. The best free resource in any municipality is the public library. Books aren't the only thing involved. I utilize their high-speed internet, borrow films, and listen to audiobooks. In addition, my library hosts free weekly activities including movie evenings, reading clubs, and guest lecturers. I make an effort to attend at least one each week. I get most of my enjoyment and social interaction from it. Step outside. It costs nothing to walk. There's a lovely park with trails in my town. I visit there multiple times every week. It serves as both my therapy and my gym. There are no admission fees to nature. Look for events that are free. I constantly look at the calendars of the community center, church, and town. The amount of free content available would astound you. Local festivals, church potlucks, high school athletic events with inexpensive tickets, and park concert. Take up a pastime. I watched free online videos to learn how to knit. With just a few dollars worth of yarn, I can create an entire scarf. I work on jigsaw puzzles that I obtained from the community center's puzzle swap group. A nice pastime doesn't have to cost a fortune. How to maintain your health on a budget. The key is prevention. Simply trying to be healthy is my greatest approach to health care. Every day, I go for a walk. I eat healthily. I sleep well enough. Naturally, there is no assurance, but it reduces my risk of numerous costly health issues. Recognize your advantages. Learning exactly what my Medicare savings program covers and which local providers are in my network took a lot of time. When I need a prescription filled, I always request the generic version. You can actually save money by being an informed patient. A fund for self-care. My small savings for dental and vision care is more than simply a figure on a spreadsheet. I made a commitment to myself. I'm proactively saving for the necessities rather than waiting for an unpleasant emergency. The change in attitude. Of all the hacks, this one is most likely the most significant. Be thankful. I make it a point to concentrate on what I have rather than what I lack every day. I have my own time, a tranquil existence, delicious food, and a safe home. That kind of thinking transforms everything. When you value the little things, a frugal existence can seem abundant. Rethink what it means to be rich. I used to think that having money and other possessions was what made a life rich. I now define it as having leisure, community, mental calm, and stress-free living. I'm richer now than I've ever been by that measure. The satisfaction of refusing. I've come to understand the value of saying no. Don't give in to pressure to buy. No to unnecessary improvements. No to the notion that my possessions define me. Simply choosing not to participate in the rat race is immensely liberating. These aren't only arbitrary suggestions. All of them are interconnected. They are a purposeful lifestyle that not only enables me to retire, but also makes it truly fulfilling. The hypothetical. Now I understand your thoughts. That's what my family and friends believe. What about the actual world? This seems good. What about crises? How about inflation? What about becoming seriously ill? I had to answer all of those reasonable queries. If a strategy cannot withstand a little strain, it isn't a true plan. The major one, medical care. Every retiree's biggest worry is this. There are several layers to my strategy. First, as I previously stated, I participate in the Medicare Savings Program. These state programs assist seniors with limited incomes in covering premiums and other expenses. Being eligible for this changed everything. Anyone in a comparable situation should definitely investigate their state's eligibility. I also emphasize prevention. My first line of defense is a balanced diet and daily walks, but I'm realistic. A serious medical emergency, such as receiving a cancer diagnosis, would be extremely difficult. This is where dual eligibility for Medicare and Medicaid, the ultimate safety net, comes in. Medicaid can pay for things like long-term care that Medicare does not. Even though I don't currently have full Medicaid, it offers me vital peace of mind to know that there is a safety net in place in case my health takes a major turn for the worse. Although the system isn't flawless, you must be aware of its supports. The unavoidable. Interest rates. How about inflation? This one is difficult. You immediately notice an increase in the price of milk when you are on a $1,000 fixed income. No cushion is present. Being adaptable is the cornerstone of my strategy to combat inflation. Reducing spending. I start by looking for ways to make my already limited budget work. Can I save gas by combining trips? Change to a less expensive muesli brand? Can I use leftovers to make my own veggie broth? Being even more resourceful is the goal. The Social Security COLA. Every year, Social Security makes a cost of living adjustment, or COLA. Although it frequently seems to lag behind, it does offer a slight cushion that lessens the impact of growing costs. My garden. When food prices rise, my little garden gains even more value. I can or store enough tomatoes in a good year to last most of the winter. A useful tool is to learn the fundamentals of food preservation. The final option. I have a fallback plan in case inflation gets truly out of control for a while. Some part-time employment. An additional $100 to $200 a month could be earned by working a few hours a week at the neighborhood library or grocery shop, which would greatly ease the financial burden. Knowing that I could is a tactical advantage, even though I don't want to do it. The unexpected. Emergencies. What about crises? An unexpected flight for a family emergency or a blown automobile gearbox? A budget can be ruined by these items. My strategy is modest yet crucial. The small emergency fund. Do you recall the additional $50 I attempt to save each month? I never touch it. It goes into a different savings account. It's an excruciatingly slow method of saving. But after 2 years, I've accumulated more than $1,200. Although it's not much, it's sufficient to pay for a significant plumbing bill or a new set of tires. It protects me from complete panic. Community support. I'm not too proud to seek assistance. There are resources in my community. Local churches have emergency funds, and community organizations may provide assistance with a one-time electricity expense. Part of the plan is knowing where to go before you need it. To be clear, I don't live a risk-free existence. My financial margin for error is really narrow, but I would contend that it was far riskier to live in a large city, be heavily indebted, and worry about rent that exceeded my entire salary. Control and resourcefulness are now the cornerstones of my life. I created a straightforward, sturdy life to deal with the what-ifs. Please take a moment to subscribe and click the notification bell if my story resonates with you and you find this useful. I'll be talking more about specific topics like maximizing the benefits of food programs and locating reasonably priced healthcare. Above all, I want to create a sense of community here. What is your greatest retirement fear then? Let me know in the comments. Is it loneliness, money, or medical care? The first step to solving our problems together is to share them. That's it then. The complete, honest story of how I lived on $1,000 a month in the U.S. while I was retired. I know many of you have experienced the same feelings of anxiety and irritation at the beginning, but it evolved into a path of empowerment. Location, a thorough budget, and a resourceful way of living are the 3 foundations that support it all. Moving to a low-cost state like Alabama was a significant step. It required me to follow a rigid spending plan in which every dollar had a purpose. Making wise decisions, cooking at home, locating free entertainment, and knowing where to get assistance made it all feasible. I want to be completely truthful. Not everyone is cut out for this life. This plan isn't for you if your ideal retirement includes traveling the world or living in a large city. For those of us who simply desire tranquility, safety, and a peaceful existence free from financial concerns, this is a plan. Giving up something isn't the point of living on $1,000 a month in retirement. It all depends on the wise decisions you make. It involves distinguishing between what society deems necessary and what you truly require for happiness. It's about exchanging a life filled with stress and expense for the luxury of having your own time and mental tranquility. It's impossible, according to specialists who are only examining national averages. Harmony Creek, Alabama is not in their sights. They're not considering the comfort of a home-cooked supper or the power of a library card. They have lost sight of community, ingenuity, and a spirit of determination. I am a living example of what is possible. Despite being little and straightforward, my existence is full. Every morning, I awaken with a sense of serenity rather than a knot of tension. I own my time. I'm not only getting by, I'm happy.